do have a treat in store for you this morning. I have had a great chat with Tony last night into the wee hours, and if you want to be the president of a major multinational corporation, all you have to do is stay away from home for 275 days, which is the numbers of days that Tony has just told me that he is away from home. It's a big price to pay. And if you also want to make money out of his stock, unfortunately you may have missed the boat, because in 2009 it was roughly speaking €1. It's now roughly speaking €17. Your 100,000 quid would have been €1.7 million. Sorry about that. But I am told that by the, obviously I was reading some stockbroker notes, is that there may be still a 30% rise. They are still forecasting a 30% rise, and maybe Tony, he's probably not allowed to talk about that, but you never know. We're amongst friends here. What we will be talking about is about motivation, etc. Tony, and he will be telling you all about this himself. They have 41,000 employees. They're in 32 countries. A lot of time spent in the air and trying to, I would imagine, what is that term? Trying to herd cats, I would imagine, when you're in charge of a major multinational like that. We will have a long chat. We will then open the floor to yourselves. And Gina McNally tells me that we have to be out of here by 9. I may be able to push her a little bit about that, but if we push on, if we press on, I'm going to introduce you now to President of Smurfit Kappa, that is Tony Smurfit.
Well, thank you, Conal, and it's a real pleasure for me to be allowed to come here. It's a privilege indeed, and after listening to Maria, I think I might move down to Limerick. So, it is the reason I'm here actually is because I do spend so much time in the air. I was coming back from Mexico or Los Angeles or somewhere, and I happened to meet this lovely lady in the bus because we were the last 2 passengers, and we started to talk, and she talked about what she does, Limerick, and I said, oh yeah, I run a small business called Smurfit Kappa, and she went, oh, that's really interesting, and talked about strategy and this and that, and eventually I got this email the next day from her saying, excuse me, would you mind speaking in Limerick? And of course I said, be delighted, and you know, it is really a true honour for me to do so. And I mean, just to give you a very little brief history, you know, my grandfather started the Smurfit Kappa organisation back in 1934. So he started as a tailor from the UK, came over to Ireland just after the war and started a small paper mill from nothing. And from that, my father, Michael Smurfit, who really built the company, basically by buying other people's mistakes in the 60s and 70s and 80s. He bought other people's mistakes by buying at the bottom of the cycle when people overbuilt. He went in and bought their mistakes at a discount and used the tools of the time. In a sense, before private equity existed, the chairman, who was my father, and his partner, the president, his name was Howard Kilroy, both of those guys built the business by basically leveraging the business before leverage was known as it is today. Everyone talks about private equity today and using the tools of the market, but the chairman of the time and the president of the time really were ahead of their time in doing that. I came into the business in 1986, so I've been in the business about 27, 28 years. And I suppose I've gone through various iterations. I've gone through running the paper mill in the middle of the night on the night shift, doing boxes, tying them up at the end of the line. So I've been through the whole iteration of our business. And in 1999, I became president of Europe. And then in 2002, when we went private, I became president of the company and COO, together with the management buyout of Madison Dearborn, which was a private equity group. 2005, we did a very large merger. We transformed the company, almost doubled the size of the company in 2005 by merging with the Kappa organization. We became, instead of Jefferson Smurfit Group, we became Smurfit Kappa Group. And in 2007, we refloated the company on the stock market and we became a public company again. And as Conal has just said, we've been through many, many iterations. It's sort of like, in a sense, like Ireland, if you want to. Well, we've actually had the boom of being very leveraged, grew our business, used leverage in Smurfit Kappa, and then in 2008 we hit the wall because we were leveraged. We were potentially overextended, and we did what we had to do. We actually battened down the hatches. We made sure that we We didn't spend too much on our business. We cut all our expenses as much as we possibly could, and we were able to survive the storm. And as Conal just said, our shares went down, one, because the markets thought we might breach our covenants and our equity would be wiped out. In fact, that didn't happen. We never broke our covenants. We made sure that we kept ourselves afloat, and we were able to recover. And since that time, our shares have gone from 1 to about 17.50. You took off the 50 cents. We look at it every day, and in fact, when we leave here, we'll be able to look at it in the ticker. We would obviously think that we're still undervalued, but all senior management always think their shares are undervalued, so I'd be no different to anyone else. But we think we've got an outstanding company. We have operations in 31 countries. We have 41,000 people. And one of the things I think that differentiates us, if you talk to our customers, if you talk to our people that know this company, is that we're singular. We're a company of high ethics. We're a company of high morals. We're a company that really drives the business. We're full of passion. We're full of understanding about our business, and we're full of, I suppose, drive to succeed and continue to grow the business. And last year we did a very relatively large acquisition of $340 million in the US, and that was our first significant acquisition since we went public again. And I think that shows the confidence that we have in our business to continue to grow it and look for opportunities. And that's what we intend to do. Our business is in robust health. As I say, our assets are improving. We've got great people, and we think we've got a great future ahead of us. And obviously, we hope that the shares reflect that in the future. So with that, I think I'll sit down and listen to what Conal's going to ask me. And
again, we had a long chat, as I mentioned last night. The first thing I was asking Tony yesterday, and the first question that I put to him is, Tony has everything. He's worked very hard for it. He is the president, as I mentioned, of a very, very large corporation, and he spends an awful lot of time working and out in the air and out of the country. He doesn't need to do it. And I asked him, why? Now, you've had 12 hours to reflect. He didn't have an instant answer last night.
Well, I didn't have an instant answer because I'd never been asked it before. So why do I do it? Is because I love it. I mean, there's, the idea of doing nothing is actually an anathema to me and to anyone who wants to succeed in business. And I think that I've been a business person all my life. I do a lot of different things outside of only Smurfit, but they're all generally pretty business related. Running a major company like Smurfit Kappa with the fun that you can have, which we do have a lot of fun. We make sure that we enjoy ourselves in our company. We make sure that this company is always moving forward, and we have a lot of bonding with our people, and that's a lot of fun. And I think that driving the business and being successful is something that gives you satisfaction. And life is about having satisfaction. And playing golf and getting my handicap down wouldn't be very satisfying.
Is having the Smurfit name a handicap itself, or is it a benefit because you are instantly identified as one of the son of? And that's a curse very often.
I think that, first of all, I'm very lucky to have the Smurfit name. I mean, I'm proud of it. I'm proud of what my grandfather did and my father have done, and so far what I've done. It of course helped at the beginning. I got into the company, and since then I've had to work probably twice as hard as everyone else to be successful in the company. And of course, there are still many naysayers that would say, he's there because of his name. The reality is that since 2002, I am the only Smurfit in the business. We have one private equity in 2002, two more private equities in 2005. They're not known for taking prisoners, so I don't think I have anything to prove. But nonetheless, there are still some naysayers out there that would say, oh, he's there because of his name. And, there's nothing that I can do to convince them otherwise, because they'll probably always say that.
One of the downsides of being a Smurfit and being in a public company is that Unlike, and if I went to the audience and if I asked them about Martin Naughton or Lachlan Quinn, some of you may know Martin Naughton as being possibly the biggest industrialist in the country, and Lachlan Quinn was his sidekick. Both of them are billionaires. If I showed you pictures, you probably certainly wouldn't know Lachlan Quinn at all. You are, because of Smurfit, because you're in a public company, you are easily identified in the newspapers, and you are frequently in the newspapers. If you have a party, as you had, your 50th birthday party, that was covered. Does that not cheese you off big?
Well, you know, it's always been there. I actually assiduously try and stay out of the media, especially in the gossip columns, and I think I have been in the gossip columns twice in the last 10 years, as far as I can see. Obviously, you're sometimes in the media from a business perspective, and that's fine. But myself and my wife, we don't really court that sort of world. But you know, sometimes people write about you, and there's not much you can do about it.